All right, welcome. We just had Mark did a clap. You didn't see that, or maybe you did. Maybe he left it in. I don't know. Robin Black, you're at my YouTube page. It's really Mark's and mine. We built it together. And or you're listening on SoundCloud, iTunes. Mark's motioning that maybe this will not be loud enough unless I kind of do something with it. SoundCloud, iTunes. Where else are we? Stitcher. Could be listening on any of those. And if you are, we thank you. And I give you my sincere apology that I've been so busy with my 1-minute breakdowns that I've been really enjoying and trying to grow the skills of those. That somebody just mentioned the Khabib fighting a bear one, for example, that I have slacked off on working with Mark on all of these properties of ours, and they're very important to us, and I appreciate you. Very quickly, please say hello. You won't see them, but say hello to my friends over here on Periscope and my friends over here on Instagram Live. I labeled on Periscope, hey, we're going to record for YouTube Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Max Holloway, two young brothers. Masters, right? Brothers. They're not brothers. I meant to say two young masters. I don't know why. It's in this green juice. I don't know why I said two young brothers, but two young masters. And a brilliant fight. Brilliant fight. And then while we were recording this that you're seeing right now, my phone blew up because Conor McGregor was freaking out in a van, and the whole thing looked pretty WWE, but it was probably real. And these guys, and I thank you, helped pull me back, and we're going to talk about what matters, which is the martial artists in this fight and their martial arts. And I thank you guys for bringing me back to that, because that is always, to me, what's most important. I know the low-hanging fruit of drama and controversy, man. We can't. I'm against a lot of that, and I was pulled over like the crash on the side of the road. But let's be the ones here who look at something important, and that is the fighters and the fight. And young Max Holloway steps in on fucking 6 days' notice. Up a weight class, and yes, I know he's a big boy, and without having cut weight, he still had a lot to cut, so he will be big. But 6 days' notice to fight a 25-0 killer, you know? And that morning, I popped up, and my wife was like, I know you're excited. Go ahead. I forget where we were going, but she was like, go ahead, you know, talk to your thing and talk to your YouTube. And I was like, listen, every minute that we spend talking about, oh my God, Tony's hurt, or oh, he didn't make weight, is a minute we're not spending looking at the beauty of this fight, you know? And I said losers, and I don't mean losers, I mean people who lose at things, often are worried about something that happened beyond their control and complaining and freaking out about it. And winners, people who win things, are looking at the reality of where they are and working from it. And that's true, man. If you got taken down and you're mounted, you don't go, oh, fuck, I got taken down, I'm mounted. Because if it's Khabib, you're fucking dead. You have to go, here I am, this is the reality, we'll work from it, okay? So let's talk about this fight. And I talk a lot about what a fight isn't and what, you know, where our flaws are when we're looking at fights, and there are many. And it is... To progress, we have to sometimes go back. We have to go back, and we have to look at things from a different way. And I thought the way to look at this one, now, when I talked about how recently, just a couple, like 2 or 3 days ago, I talked about how Max Holloway, how he could beat Khabib, or how you would beat Khabib. People were like, you shouldn't be so biased. I got like people messaging me directly, you know, we know you want Khabib to lose. It's like, what the fuck? I fucking love Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm blown away by him. I'm boggled by his skill, by how hard. In Britain, they have a term. We don't use it much here in North America. That's a hard man. They'll say, you know that term. We're familiar with it here, but it's not used on the regular. That is a hard man. That is a compliment in Britain. And I was doing bare knuckle boxing, which is brilliant. I'm going to do a water on talking about the beauty of bare knuckle fighting, but that'll come in the coming days or next week. But that is the biggest compliment you can give to these guys. That's a hard man right there. And fucking Khabib is a hard dude. You know, and I'm a huge fan. Why would I bring up somebody's, how does Max get it done? You haven't been watching me lately. I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. How's he going to get it done? I don't fucking know. And I know that the game of making predictions is a normal part of our thing. I think that it will be better served by me telling you the truth. I don't know, man. I don't know. And if and when, I'll be brief on this tangent, if and when I say Khabib by domination on top, I will look for all the ways to reinforce that. I'll defend it. Instead, if I say I don't know, I'm allowing all this new information to come in. I don't know. But, so I thought, let's look at a different perspective. Because when trying to compare, what are their skills? What are their attributes? How are they going to work together? Who's got the better this or the better that, or is stronger here? Or how does can you check what's the strategy? A lot of those things I want to go back and reset the table for how we do those in the future. I think that's where we're having some problems getting to the gist of what's going on, because we believe certain things to be true that are untrue. But so I thought, instead, let's look at how you would beat Khabib. Now, this isn't because I don't love Khabib. I'm not cheering for anybody. I love the fight. I hope they both have a brilliant night. The reason I say, how would you beat Khabib, is because he looks almost unbeatable. And that conversation happens in gyms and has been happening for years now. And it happened worse when Michael Johnson got beat up, and it happened more when Edson Barboza got beat up. I approve of my friend Raging Al, who said, fuck that, I just won't fight him. Fully approve of that thinking. Don't you, Mark? Fuck that. I'm not fighting Khabib. You see what he did to those guys? No way. This is cold-pressed juice, by the way. 7 pounds of leafy greens squashed down. I left my Joe Rogan mug in Stratford. Yeah, fuck that. I'm not fighting him. But somebody says, but you have to. Like, we have your mother hostage, and the only way that we're going to let her go is if you fight Khabib, or some crazy shit that's going to make me do it. Now we have to figure out how we could do it. And again, I'm not cheering for somebody or the other. This is just a very logical discussion when somebody's never lost, probably never lost a round, and looks so unbelievably dominant that it is thrilling to watch. And I realized we got to reverse engineer this, okay? And by doing this, and I played around with the thinking, and I have played around with this thinking a lot, and I've talked to Greg Jackson about this before, and this is a pretty regular way of discussion for a lot of coaching. But I thought it might be new to some people, and that not only would this be a fun thing to do, but it'll give you a little different perspective. You can apply this sort of thinking to almost any fight. So we're going to work from backwards. So this dot, it's just a dot, and these are going to be very simple, but it's going to probably just be dots. This dot is Khabib in a position that he's smashing you until the round ends or he finishes you and you can't get out. So that may be that wrist ride. And if you don't know, if you Google Robin Black Khabib wrist ride, there's a breakdown I did really looking at this particular way. It's a standard wrestling maneuver, but one kind of forgotten through MMA. Robin Black and the Khabib Nurmagomedov and the history of the wrist ride. And it works beautifully, and he used it a lot on Michael Johnson, and we looked at a little bit of its history, and he wrist rides and he pummels you. Now, those of you in America won't see this, I'm sorry, or Europe, or the Great Britain, or Ireland, or Australia, just in Canada, but I work for TSN, and I do breakdowns, and so I have a breakdown of the crucifix. So that's another place that people get you, and he will triangle his legs here, and he will take his arm and string it here and trap your other arm here, put his weight down, and he has another hand free. It's very simple. You've seen it. You know what it is for a lot of you. And why is it called the crucifix? Because you're like this, right? You're trapped out like this. He's got this arm with his leg. He's got this other arm with his arm and his neck and his weight and his chin. And then he's got a hand free and he's crushing you. So this dot represents one of those positions, okay? So now, I'm not saying give up there, but I am saying you're fucked by this point, okay? Like, I'm not saying anything new. I'm not trying to, like, discourage you if you're there. It's just history says you're pretty fucked there, okay? So, somehow, there's that position where you're fucked. Somehow you have to get there. to that position. Now in the crucifix, he had to trap one of your arms and fish under and trap the other one with his weight. In the wrist ride, he often weighs on, digs it, reaches, and then uses his own body impulse. And people have been mentioning my breakdown of Khabib versus the bear. There's footage of the bear. I'm going to do another one, and I'll give you some other pieces that Khabib uses that he still uses to this day. But so Khabib will pull that wrist ride or any number of those. There, and that is set up from some other also dominant position, but not quite as destructive. So maybe side control, maybe, back on your back hip. That's what he loves. Your turtle, you're on all fours, and he's on your back hip, and he's strung a hand through, and he's got your wrist. Other dominant position. From there, he has to get that position. That's the work. And from there was some slightly less dominant position on the ground with you underneath, etc. Back here, to get to that position, he had to take you and corral you and force you to surrender that position. And before that, he had to start you in the process of being taken to the ground. And before that, he had to completely wrap you up into some type of position that he has hold of you. Before that, he had to get a hold of you. And before that, he had to close the distance on you. You see where I'm going with this? Again, it's imperfect, but super dominant position where Khabib is destroying you. Before that, he had to have a very dominant position like the back hip where he's looking for that, or a powerful side control. To do that, he had to be able to maybe pass to that position or some other variation of making you surrender that position. To do that, he had to start in a sequence of working you down to the ground and being able to get you there. To do that, he had to secure good control of you. To do that, he had to grab you. To that, he had to close the distance, etc. Right? You guys following? It's all making sense, right? Just a series of steps. Super fucked. 7 steps away from being fucked. Right? A freeze frame of the moves. Yeah, imagine. That's where you are. You're with me. Thank you. Thank you. So, death. Many steps from death. Here's the key. Whether this is Khabib or anybody else. This is what's happening in every single fight. Here's the key. There is each of these positions. See, what I'm pointing to are the spaces, not the destinations. Each of these represent a fight, a contest, a struggle, a skirmish, something that has to happen, something that has to take place. From here, that skirmish is he had to move from that very dominant position to that last fucking you're dead position. And I only gave 2 examples, but he has many. The wrist ride was one, the crucifix was the other, but he's got any number of things where it's a simple philosophy, this one. He traps all of your protective devices, which are your hands, with his body, but while keeping one free. And he can do that any number of ways. Put his head somewhere and hit you to trap an arm. He can trap it with his hip, anywhere. But to get there, there's a fight. He doesn't just go there. You try to stop him. And he goes there from some super dominant position, like side control or controlling you from the turtle. And he had to fight to get there, right? And then from that, and all the way up to here. So it starts here. The truth is, when you fight Khabib or anybody else that's like this, Josh Barnett, Ronda Rousey, anybody who had a destination of destruction, and I just threw that alliteration together. It didn't exist. It just came off my head. It's not that impressive. So I should stop patting myself on the back. Destination of destruction. Who was the other? Ben Askren. Great example. I apologize, you guys. My phone is dying, so this might come to an end. Ben Askren. Yes, great example. It starts here. So now we work the other way. To get to this place where I'm going to murder you, I have to start standing up and have to close the distance. This is where you fucking try to stop him. This is where you try to hurt him. This is where you try to do something about it. And I'm not revealing anything. This is not like how to beat Khabib or Ben Askren 101. This conversation happens, this idea, this thinking, Mark's plugging us in over here. Thank you. This is happening every time somebody faces, my guy from Iceland. Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson has others, and so does Khabib. Khabib will gladly knock you out here. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it has to happen like this. But these are the places where you are trying to hurt him, finish him. If you can keep this going, so this is Ben Askren, Ronda. Ronda happens to be a woman, and other than that, I can't think of any other difference. And the people she were fighting were not as yet at the level of the people that Khabib is fighting, but otherwise the principles are the same. And Ronda's an easy example because she was defeated. Khabib, never defeated. Ben Askren, never defeated. Like, we just X this whole shit out. Gunnar Nelson has been defeated, but Gunnar isn't specifically a destination of destruction type of person, although that is one of his things. But Ronda was defeated. And you know how you defeated Ronda? For Ronda, it was armbar, which is taken from any number of spiderweb type positions, which is taken from her taking you down, which is taken from the overhook that she likes, which is taken from this particular entry that she gets, which is taken from her throwing punches and attacking you aggressively, etc., etc., which starts with her having to get a hold of you and her having to close the distance. And Holly's team were like, I heard people fighting Ronda, and they were like, well, you better work on your armbar defense. Fuck that, I'm dead here. And no, you don't accept that, and you don't say that's the case, but that is the thinking. Yeah, and hopefully your fighter is like, no, I can handle her armbar. And if they're there, Misha toughed it out because she believed she could. But ultimately, I mean, that shit was not good. Yeah, Masvidal was here with Damian Maia. Great point. And he didn't my guy Jorge, shout out to my guy Jorge, he's not going to bail. Takes very rare type to get here. Michael Johnson deserves a lot of fucking credit for however many minutes he spent there with Khabib. Right? But Ronda's a good example because Holly and their thing was, if we keep distance, and prevent her from grabbing us and prevent her from locking us up, that will prevent, etc., etc. And of course, this is what you have to try to do with Khabib. But with Khabib, and again, I'm saying this because Khabib's unbeatable. I love him. I hope he wins. And he and Max have a brilliant fight, or Max wins and they both have a brilliant fight. I have no horse in the ring. Gamebred is another kind of man. Good. Jorge Masvidal is a very special, unique fighter. There are rare ones like him. I'd like to see him fight Khabib. Holy fuck, that'd be wicked. Because he can fight at 155. So this is what you have to do. But against Khabib, here's the truth. He's probably going to get here at some point. Fuck. But we've seen people survive. It might literally come down to survival. And when you're here, it is just about working your way back up. And it's a conversation for another day. Win or lose, Khabib dominates here or Max knocks him out here. Doesn't matter. One day, him and Tony will line up, and it's a whole different chart. It's a whole different chart. It's real cool. And I'll be excited. I was excited for that fight, too. But I'm excited for Max. Credit Max Holloway. And credit Khabib, too. He didn't have to take a champion, young kid, long-rangey, dangerous dude. It's 6 days notice for him, too. Not fitness-wise, but preparation-wise it is. Credit both these guys. It's a very special fight. But this is just the beginning. It's not a new concept. Greg Jackson's been doing shit like this for probably 8 or 9 years. Maybe more. Maybe he was doing this when he was... I mean, you go into jiu-jitsu gyms, high-level jiu-jitsu gyms, and they have a whole game tree of choices, and we'll build those, too, at some point. If you find this interesting, please let me know, because there's whole game trees of this we can do. And it's not the be-all, end-all. This is one tiny aspect. Fighting is thousands of things at one time, and each perspective gives you a little different. But if you're going to fight Khabib, if you can keep it way out, keep it from getting the first thing, which is closing the distance, great. We'll kick him. We'll punch him. We'll move our feet. It's the bigger cage. That's what we'll try to do. Oh, we can't? He gets a hold of us. Then we fight. These arrows are fights. He doesn't just get a hold of us. Well, I guess we're moving on to the next one. We fight it. We fight the grips. We fight the position. Then he does get full grips and he wants to get the body lock or to a thigh or to the back. We fight that. Because if you fight it, you might get back to grips. And if you fight that, you might break those grips and then you're back here again. And if you're back here again, you're punching and kicking him. But if you don't, and he gets you down, then he gets you down. And there's a fight again. He gets you down, but you don't surrender that. There's a problem, though, because sometimes it isn't. These things aren't linear. I'm sorry, I'm just getting to that now. But it's when you just gently introduce an idea, you can only do it the way you can do it. But these are not linear. There are fucking offshoots from all of these directions. All of them. That's what makes it so fucking cool. So you do not surrender the takedown with Khabib. Instead, he laces your leg, and you're up, but you haven't surrendered the takedown, but he's attacking your back. Then by attacking your back, he gets you to respond, which gets you down. And there are pathways of all of these, and it's giant spider web. And these guys' skills, the way that they fight, they're all like that. And so many of Max's spider webs are over here. He's going to set you up this way. He's going to move that way. He's going to make you fall over there. He has less and less as he gets here. And more as he gets out here. It's a simple principle, right? A simple flow chart. They call them game trees in video games. We can play much further with these. If we do, or when we do, we have to be careful. This is not the world. These aren't video games. These aren't video game characters. These aren't, they don't have scores and attributes that are never changing. They're always changing. Your eye is full of blood. Things work differently. Everything changes. But this is one tool. It is not the tool. But we're going to explore it further. But you get the basic principle for when you fight Khabib. The longer you can stay from here. Simple, right? The key to remember. And this, again, when we circle back, this is not, how do I beat Khabib? Oh, the book's out. Bullshit. They know this. And they can't fucking do it. That's what's so incredible about Khabib. There is a fight at every step of this flowchart. And Khabib wins them all. He fucking wins all of them. That's amazing. But Max Holloway is last, I don't know how many fights. 17 people have tried to take him down, and none of them have. So in these areas in the middle here, he's really good at letting you not get grips on him. And then when you do get grips on him, he's really good at framing and striking. Because what's important about a frame? So you know what a frame is, right? Sometimes I'll have an overhook and then a frame, or there'll be two frames or like a head in somewhere and frame. Frame, it tends to be anything shaped in like a... Sorry, I'm letting this thing... My apologies if it doesn't sound great. I'm just moving around a lot. The frame is often shown this way. Anything that's sort of mechanically powerful, like an engineering feat of your body. But anything can frame. You can frame with your knee in places. The concept of framing is just using some structure of your body to stop somebody from the physical structure of your body is one that I can't push through. Even a straight arm in some sports, football and stuff, ends up with that principle. So, and Max is very good at that. And he may be able to stop that a few times, but inevitably you do end up here at some point. So then it's about heart. You tough enough? Max is tough enough. But again, I don't make predictions. They don't make any sense to me. My friend Tracy Trudeau sent me a thing the other day that the number one tennis player in the world, you know what his name is? Pete something? No. No. Anyway, it's like the number one guy lost to the 179th seeded guy recently. And somebody be like, that's an anomaly. It's just a result. And there's some guy somewhere who bet that guy to win because it was like 600 to 1 and he bet $30 and he won, $1,800. Or that'd be $18,000. Yeah. Yeah, people bet on Buster Douglas. Does that mean that, oh, bro, your pick was right? Yeah, I guess. Technically, sure. But anyways, this is it. The thing is, they all know it. They all know it. They can't do it. Can Max? Last thought on that is Max is very special. Mentally, he is another level. He can handle it. His body shape and structure, you can say he's a 45er, but he's just a kid. He's probably 180 pounds when he started getting ready for this fight 6 days ago. Long, lean, moves his feet really, really well. He's tricky, smart, crafty. There'll be times here. There'll be times out there. And ideally, in a perfect world, the more you hurt and fatigue and get a little blood in his eyes, make his breathing tough, any of those things, it's hard to do that to Khabib. We haven't seen it yet, but it can be done. He's human-ish. It's human-ish. Hopefully, if you're Max's people, you want, the longer you keep it here, the more damage you do, the more you wear him out, the more you hurt his leg, the more you make him slower. That we haven't seen much of that ever, but theoretically, that's the plan. But that's it. That's how you do it. And they know, and they can't do it. This will be a really brilliant fight. It's really going to be brilliant. I feel bad for Tony for a million reasons, and I feel bad for whatever the fuck is going on right now as we're recording this with Conor McGregor down somewhere doing nonsensical shit. But this is a brilliant fight between two young masters, and we're lucky to have it. And can Max do some of this stuff to do what other people haven't been able to do? Sure, maybe. He's incredible. He's very special, and he's ready to do it, and he believes, and that's a good place to start. Or can Khabib just do I know Cody no love? I do know Cody no love. Or can Khabib just do exactly the same thing? Because he's been doing it since he was fucking 4 years old. Maybe. We'll see. It's going to be brilliant either way. Anyways, enjoy the hostilities, my friends. Blackout.